Pope Leo XIV calls for human-centered politics and European unity rooted in Christian heritage. Vatican City, April 26, 2026. In a significant address to representatives of the European People's Party, Pope Leo XIV delivered a forceful appeal for a renewed vision of politics in Europe, one that places the human person at its core, transcends ideological divisions, and draws deeply from the continent's Christian heritage. The address, delivered on April 25 in the historic Clementine Hall of the Apostolic Palace, comes at a time when Europe faces mounting internal tensions, geopolitical uncertainty, and a growing sense of fragmentation. Against this backdrop, the Pope's message was both a reflection on Europe's past and a call to responsibility for its future. A continuation of dialogue between Church and European politics. Opening his speech, Pope Leo XIV situated the meeting within a long-standing tradition of dialogue between the Catholic Church and European political leaders. He recalled similar encounters held by his predecessors, including Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict XVI, as well as a message sent by Pope Francis in 2023. This continuity, he noted, is not merely ceremonial but reflects a deeper shared concern, the ethical and spiritual foundations of European society. By addressing lawmakers affiliated with the European People's Party, a political family historically inspired by Christian democratic values, the Pope underscored the enduring relevance of faith in shaping public life. He pointed to the legacy of Europe's founding figures, including Konrad Adenauer, Alcide de Gasperi, and Robert Schuman, describing them as leaders who drew inspiration from Christian principles in rebuilding Europe after the devastation of World War II. Christian heritage as a living foundation. Central to Pope Leo XIV's message was the affirmation that Europe's Christian heritage remains a vital and living foundation, not merely a relic of the past. He emphasized that the values derived from Christianity, human dignity, solidarity, subsidiarity, and the pursuit of the common good, continue to offer guidance in addressing contemporary challenges. Rather than advocating for a confessional or theocratic model, the Pope argued for a recognition of the moral and anthropological insights that Christianity has contributed to European civilization. These insights, he said, have shaped institutions, laws, and cultural norms that prioritize the intrinsic worth of every human person. In a world increasingly marked by relativism and ideological polarization, the Pope warned against losing sight of these foundational principles. Without them, he suggested, politics risks becoming detached from reality and vulnerable to manipulation by competing interests. Unity is greater than conflict. Echoing a well-known principle articulated by Pope Francis, Pope Leo XIV stressed that unity is greater than conflict. This phrase, he explained, encapsulates a vision of politics that seeks reconciliation rather than division. Europe today, he observed, faces numerous sources of conflict, political polarization, economic disparities, cultural tensions, and external threats, yet these challenges cannot be addressed through confrontation alone. Instead, they require a renewed commitment to dialogue, cooperation, and mutual understanding. The Pope urged political leaders to resist the temptation of exploiting divisions for short-term gain. Instead, they should work to build bridges between communities, fostering a sense of shared destiny. This call for unity resonates strongly in the current European context, where debates over migration, identity, and sovereignty often generate sharp divisions within and between nations. Rejecting ideology in favor of reality. A recurring theme in the Pope's address was a critique of ideology. He warned that ideological frameworks, whether political, economic, or cultural, can obscure reality and reduce complex human experiences to simplistic categories. When politics becomes dominated by ideology, he said, it risks losing its connection to the concrete needs and aspirations of people. Policies may become driven by abstract theories rather than by a genuine concern for human well-being. Pope Leo XIV called on lawmakers to adopt a more pragmatic and humane approach, one that listens attentively to citizens, respects their dignity, and seeks solutions grounded in real-life conditions. This emphasis aligns with his broader vision of a pastoral approach to leadership, in which political authority is exercised as a form of service rather than domination. placing the human person at the center. Perhaps the most emphatic message of the address was the insistence that the human person must remain at the center of political life. Politics must serve the human person and the common good, the Pope affirmed, highlighting the need to protect fundamental rights and freedoms. He elaborated that authentic freedom is not merely the absence of constraints but the capacity to pursue truth, goodness, and meaningful relationships. Likewise, human dignity is not contingent on social status, economic productivity, or cultural identity. It is inherent and universal. In practical terms, this vision calls for policies that prioritize the most vulnerable members of society, including the poor, migrants, the elderly, and those marginalized by economic or social systems. The common good is a guiding principle. Closely linked to the dignity of the human person is the concept of the common good, a central pillar of Catholic social teaching. Pope Leo XIV defined the common good as the set of social conditions that enable individuals and communities to flourish. Achieving it requires balancing individual rights with collective responsibilities. He encouraged European leaders to move beyond narrow national or partisan interests and to consider the broader implications of their decisions. In an interconnected world, he noted, challenges such as climate change, migration, and economic inequality cannot be addressed in isolation. The Pope's appeal reflects a vision of Europe not merely as a political or economic union but as a community of values committed to the well-being of all its members. Lessons from history. The founding of Europe. Reflecting on the origins of the European project, Pope Leo XIV highlighted the role of Christian-inspired leaders in fostering reconciliation after World War II. Figures like Adenauer, de Gasperi, and Schuman recognized that lasting peace required more than political agreements, it demanded a moral and spiritual foundation. Their vision led to the creation of institutions that promoted cooperation and prevented the resurgence of conflict. By invoking their legacy, the Pope encouraged contemporary leaders to draw inspiration from their example. In particular, he stressed that the success of the European project depended on a commitment to shared values rather than mere economic interests. A warning against fragmentation. While acknowledging Europe's achievements, Pope Leo XIV also expressed concern about signs of fragmentation. Rising nationalism, political polarization, and skepticism toward European institutions threaten to undermine the unity that has been painstakingly built over decades. The Pope cautioned that such trends, if left unchecked, could lead to renewed conflict and instability. He urged leaders to address the root causes of discontent, including economic inequality and social exclusion. At the same time, he emphasized the importance of fostering a sense of belonging among citizens, an identity rooted not in exclusion but in shared values and mutual respect. Politics as a vocation of service. Another key dimension of the Pope's message was his characterization of politics as a vocation, a calling to serve others. This perspective challenges the often cynical view of politics as a pursuit of power or personal gain. Instead, it presents political engagement as a noble endeavor aimed at promoting justice, peace, and human flourishing. Pope Leo XIV encouraged lawmakers to approach their responsibilities with humility, integrity, and a commitment to the common good. He also highlighted the importance of ethical leadership, noting that trust in political institutions depends on the credibility and moral character of those who govern. Dialogue as a path forward. Throughout his address, the Pope repeatedly emphasized the importance of dialogue. In a pluralistic society, differences of opinion are inevitable. However, these differences need not lead to division if they are approached with openness and respect. Dialogue, he said, is not merely a technique but an attitude, one that recognizes the dignity of others and seeks to understand their perspectives. By fostering a culture of dialogue, European leaders can build consensus and address complex challenges more effectively. The broader global context. The Pope's message to European lawmakers must also be understood within the broader global context of his pontificate. In recent weeks, Pope Leo XIV has spoken out on issues such as war, migration, and technological change, emphasizing the need for peace and ethical responsibility. During his travels and public addresses, he has consistently advocated for a world order based on justice, solidarity, and respect for human dignity. Observers note that his increasingly assertive tone reflects a growing urgency in the face of global crises. Implications for the future of Europe. Pope Leo XIV's address offers a comprehensive framework for rethinking the future of Europe. At its core is a vision of a continent that remains faithful to its moral roots while adapting to new realities. This vision challenges both secular and religious audiences to engage in a constructive dialogue about the role of values in public life. For policymakers, it provides a set of guiding principles that can inform decision-making in areas ranging from economic policy to social integration. Conclusion. A call to responsibility. As Europe navigates a period of uncertainty and transformation, Pope Leo XIV's message serves as both a reminder and a challenge. It reminds leaders of the values that have shaped the continent's identity and calls them to renew their commitment to those values in the face of contemporary challenges. Above all, it emphasizes that politics, at its best, is an expression of care for the human person, a means of building a society that is just, peaceful, and inclusive. In the Pope's own vision, the future of Europe depends not only on economic or political strategies but on a deeper moral renewal, one that places the dignity of every person at its center and seeks unity over division.